At the end of the Second World War, Walter Clark was best known for his first novel, The Oxbow Incident, which was made into a film directed by William Wellman starring Henry Fonda. The story, involving a rush to judgment and the lynching of 3 innocent strangers, was an indictment against mob rule. Walter Clark considered it an effort to present the kinds of human prejudices and divisions which destroy justice. Both book and movie blew apart the stereotypes and myths of the pulp western and left them lying in the dust. Serious topics such as the rule of law defining a civilization were now open for discussion. New York publishers and Hollywood filmmakers were eagerly awaiting another novel by Clark, and in 1949, The Track of the Cat made its first impressions on the literary world. Once again, this was not another romance of the Old West. Clark dealt with the harsh realities of an isolated ranching family pitting itself against the forces of nature, an early winter snowstorm, and the ravages of a wild panther. The New York Times called it one of the great American novels of place, an achievement nothing less than extraordinary. The Saturday Review of Literature credited it as masterful, consistently sustained storytelling and purges with pity and terror, a work of exceptional stature. It was not your standard hunting story. It set off a storm of letter writing and reviews.
Dear Mr. Clark, late last night I finished reading The Track of the Cat. I have never read a book that held me in its grip as this has, and I have been unable to concentrate on anything else since I started it. Its power and terror and suspense are superb. I felt the cat following me throughout and will always envision evil as the black cougar. I did not think I would ever read anything as compelling and simple and hair-raising as the Oxbow Incident, but this cat book does it.
I discovered myself terribly curious as to whether I had figured out what you said. The only comment I had heard was from a professor who said it was about hunting a panther, which now seems the height of stupidity to me.
I have read it during a heat wave, and my spine is frozen, and I have had 4 consecutive nightmares, and all I can say is that it is one of the most goddamn indelible things I ever read.
Dear Mr. Clark, I think you built the animal up until it became a symbol of terror and evil, which grew in the mind of someone like Kurt to become all the evil things that possessed him.
You did mean it as an allegory, didn't you? You did say the only one who will survive the end of things is the man who considers both inward and outward reality, who hunts with the primitive?
Call it racial memory, or what you will. Some vestigial fascination and horror holds us spellbound when a writer pits a lone human being against a great cat. Suspense is assured, because in each duel between man and feline, each is both hunter and hunted.
I'm thinking of bringing suit. Haven't had a real night's sleep since reading it. Nightmares, you know. Leaves falling on the roof, twigs snapping.
Walter Van Tilburg Clark has a definitely unpleasant turn of mind. The reader feels evil seeping from every page of this hair-raising book. One would rather spend a winter in some cave with the Black Panther than in the Bridges ranch house with this seething and bitter family.
It seemed to me that Arthur, much as he had read and dreamed, disregarded outer reality, whereas Kurt reversed the process, while Harold, who listened to his dreams but was also active, who had resolved the modern confusions regarding sex, had at least a hope of survival.
Dear Walter, all that I knew when I finally put it down was that I had lived a great experience, something that will never leave me. I can think of nothing better to say about any book than that.
In response to one woman's query, Walter Clark wrote a 4-page letter, but never sent it and filed it away. Across the top he wrote, "Not sent, told too much." Jackson Benson, Walter Clark's most recent biographer, gained access to Clark's letters and notes, and comments on his background and intentions.
He was born in the East, in Maine, as a matter of fact, which is about as far east as you can get, and became the archetypal Westerner. His father moved out from New York to become the president of the University of Nevada. And Clark grew up in the president's house, graduated from the University of Nevada, and then went back east to get a job. And so Clark taught high school He did turn out, after teaching in high school, to teach creative writings at various universities. One time he was considered for a professorship at the University of Indiana, and they turned him down. The thing was, he would never wear a shirt and tie, but he always wore these scoop-necked, old-fashioned t-shirts. One member of the committee, an old-fashioned guy, said, yeah, he may be a great writer, but we'll never get him to wear a tie. And so they turned him down. That sort of gets at the heart of this guy. He was very casual that way, loved talking and loved saloons, and often went up into the mountains camping. Clark spent a lot of time outside and in the mountains. There was this sense of not only being close to nature, but feeling that somehow nature was primordial and basic to life, and that if anything was messing up this world, it was man. He first moved out to the Lures Ranch, which is south of Carson City, lived there for a year or two, and during that time is when he wrote The Track of the Cat, using that area of the foothills and mountains as a background for the novel. The title that Clark was thinking about using for the book was Forests of the Night, which of course comes from the Blake poem, Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright in the Forest of the Night. If you look at that poem, I think you get a good sense of Clark's sense of the cat in the novel. That is, it's a fearsome thing, but it's also a God-made thing or a natural thing. He said in one of his notes about the book that if there's anything evil in this book, it's man, it's not the cat. There are two cats. There's the real cat. There is the mysterious phantom cat, which haunts this situation. Those 100 pages in the novel where Kurt is on the hunt and also struggling to survive has been called by critics a tour de force. And it is. The way he paces it, the way his mind begins more and more to wander and less able to focus, more and more aware of pain and discomfort. Hope comes and diminishes and departs, and then comes, diminishes, and departs, so that everything progresses and grows. There's a constant sense of doom in those passages that simply are haunting. Fear destroys Kurt. He kills himself. The cat doesn't kill him. And he kills himself because he refuses to accept the cat as a natural part of nature. The brothers represent various approaches by man to nature. Kurt wants to dominate nature, wants to control it.
If it wasn't for me, there wouldn't be any valley. Wouldn't be any stock. The cats would have it all. Indians would have it. You'd have given it back to them a long time ago. I built this all up.
Arthur is just the opposite. He is so gentle and understanding that he can't deal with nature.
No use taking a gun if it's Joe Sam's kind of cat.
And he perishes because he doesn't have the hardness that Kurt has. And then there's Harold, who Clark felt sort of combined the two. So he is the successful one because he has this feeling for nature, but he also has enough toughness to deal with the harshness of nature. The Indian in Track of the Cat conveys who he is by his own connection to the natural things around him that impresses Harold. The Indian is the one who believes in the cat as a myth, as a mystery, and as something almost divine. Because of the legend of the cat, he has Arthur carve these cats out every year to ward off the evil. Well, Kurt thinks this is nonsense.
You get him out of here or I will.
One of the things that the book is about is about a dysfunctional family. Clark makes his family very materialistic, which is exactly what he was against. This materialism and this sense that man owns everything in nature. Kurt is the only one of the three brothers that's approved of by the parents because he is materialistic, because he's a rationalist.
Think how happy Kurt was when he found Arthur out there. He's been robbing him for years, taking his share time after time with your blessing. To improve the ranch, he says. His ranch.
The psychology of the family is deadly. The old man can only deal with life through drink and through remembering the past. The mother is a very unlikable woman. She is manipulative, and she wants her own way. It's a very sterile family. You don't see any love interests or connections except for the younger brother. I think that's significant.
Couldn't even support a wife, even if she was proper for you, which she ain't.
What do you want, Mother? One of these days, the bridges are gonna die out. Is that what you want? Harold's found a girl. I think you'd be glad instead of turning against her.
The mother may, at the end, come around. But after all she has left is Harold now. If she's going to have anything left, she's got to try to establish a relationship with her daughter-in-law.
A woman's meant to have her man and children. Without she's got them, she ain't able to come to herself rightly.
It's really Clark's view that if there's a God, it's a God that simply set nature into motion. Man has to have an understanding of how basic nature is, how primordial it is, that we need to be reminded of. Clark thought that we could become better caretakers, better inhabitants of the world if we express compassion not only toward each other, but toward the natural. Clark, as a Western writer, joins so many other Western writers, whether it's Steinbeck or Wallace Stegner or A.B. Guthrie Jr. All of these writers are deep environmentalists. All of them are concerned about the fact that the wilderness is disappearing.
In 1949, Wallace Stegner wrote in the Virginia Quarterly, "It is in Kurt, the aggressor, that the principal meaning of this novel lies. The moment when his trusted sense of direction fails him is shattering to him and to us, for like him, we may be hunting or fleeing our own destruction through the confusion of our minds." Whereas the Oxbow incident was written in 1940 during the advent of World War II and can be construed as a warning against the dangers of fascism, The Track of the Cat was published in 1949 at the end of the war. The atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki ushered in a new era of stress and paranoia that was capable of clouding the minds of man, much like an early winter snowstorm in the high Sierras. While acknowledging the tensions of the atomic age, today's reader may consider current dangers to be as lethal. Will old prejudices and rigid forms of thought breed new catastrophic conflicts? If man continues to thumb his nose at nature, will he, like Kurt, become a victim? The fate of man may still depend on a correct mixture of rational thought and swift action, tempered by love and compassion. Add to this mix a healthy respect for the terrifying powers of nature. In 1964, Walter Van Tilburg Clark wrote, "Hate means division, and all division, from that between people who can't get along to that between nations, is evil. In an atomic age, it is also the seedbed of doom. The cat embodies much of what I've been talking about here in the matters of natural conservation, and the destructive powers of prejudice, and the self-destructive powers of conceit, self-righteousness, and violence."